joining Lulu and Rishi for our semifinals best of 3. Let's get it started.
So Rishi running that terrifying 𝗬𝗵𝗶 that we've been seeing these last couple of weeks. Pretty much if you don't ban it, it's going to kill something every single time. In the worst of days, it's still getting 1 kill. So this is kind of scary, honestly. Just seeing that on its own, I'm afraid. When I see the rest of Lelouch's team and only 1 electric Tem, I'm even more frightened.
Oh, very, very frightening indeed. Exactly right. I mean, Rishi has kept his core virtually identical since the start, right? The 𝗵𝗶, the 𝗬𝗏, the 𝗬𝗂𝗽𝗏, just being able to get those turbo choreographies, enabling him to get that speed advantage, and Rishi knows how to make that advantage count for him, right? With those hypnosises, those whopping hyperkinetic strikes, no Temtem can really brunt those forces, right? It's so impactful into everything, and that's just with 1 turbo choreography, right? 𝗵𝗶 also able to get a turbo choreography of his own, making that 100% increase on those speeds, so we might just get a little taste of that. But something we haven't got a little taste of is a 𝗬𝗨, right? This is one of the newest Temtems that just got a plethora of buffs, right? I believe it was buffed on HP. It was buffed on... Oh, I have to look back, Rawrzyyy. Do you remember?
I don't remember the stat buffs. I really just remember the telekinetic shrapnel buff.
Okay, and hey, I think I have it here, guys. It looks like it was buffed on HP. It was buffed on defense, special defense, and then stare. Of course, Rishi is the stare master, right? Always making it work for him. A lot of physical activity on his team. So yeah, having that stare available in his move kit. 𝗬𝗨 looking pretty good. Looking pretty good in this lineup. But one Temtem that looking pretty dangerous for the 𝗬𝗨 could be that 𝗬𝗏. Unfortunately, doesn't have an electric technique as early as turn 1. But either way, we are in our semifinals matchup. Lulu, Mr. Rishi. Let's go ahead and see who's going to be taking game number 1, guys.
𝗬𝗵𝗶, if this is brumation, is pretty good and terrifying. If it's thick skin, it's still pretty good against Volibear early on. Can get some good damage on 𝗬𝗨 with a wastewater stonewall combo. The tick afterwards might even be enough to kill if this is a speedier 𝗬𝗨. Although 𝗬𝗨 bamboozle, that's what I remember Lelouch running before. It could be on Rishi's spread as well. It is just going to start with that stare feather gatling though, and thick skin. It's not meant to be. Thick skin purgation onto the ruler, +2 stone ball onto 𝗬𝗨. Oh gosh, this is not what Rishi was intending to happen on turn 1.
Exactly right. So that thick skin rotor catching a bit of Rishi off guard, right? And you know, Rawrzyyy, just off the rip as early as turn 1, we're already seeing these balance patches in effect, right? 𝗬𝗨 with that stare, purgation being buffed up, now giving it 50% increase on the rotor, and giving an increase on rotor is exactly what Lulu had in mind. And quite impactful, right? Almost 50% remaining on that 𝗬𝗨 there, so not too shabby. But I don't know, you have to follow up if you want to take it down, and we do know it has things like bamboozle if it wants to protect himself, but instead goes for the cage, keeps everything in for this turn and the following.
Ooh. Trapping in that Volibear on a swap is so big as well. Hypnosis onto 𝗬𝗵𝗶 will negate another purgation into Paizo. That's the name of it. That's what I was expecting to see there when we saw the cage was a very dead Volibear in the following turn, but no, it's sleeping. It's not meant to be this time. And with stamina pretty low on 𝗵𝗶𝗆, 𝗬𝗵𝗶 is asleep. I almost feel like Rishi can do as he pleases this turn if he wants to stare down 𝗵𝗶𝗆 again and just put himself in a good position for the future.
I think this is a brilliant bamboozle, making sure that the piezoelectric blow will not connect on the following turn if he even wants to stay in, and goes for the stone wall on the 𝗬𝗵𝗶, the 𝗬𝗏. Proper play. This 𝗬𝗏 not looking like it's going to be going anywhere, and the reason I love it so much is because 𝗬𝗏 does have a lot of impact against the current board of Mr. Rishi, right? He hasn't utilized piezoelectric blow, and if we look on the back line, that's going to be effective into the 𝗬𝗨, Volibear, and the 𝗵𝗵𝗆 Grandpa. So nice little defensive pickup on this Garunder. Of course, it did come at a bit of a cost. That stone wall did overexert the rotor, so unable to click any buttons for the following turn. Perhaps he's thinking about a swap in. What do you feel is a proper swap in here, Rawrzyyy? Or maybe a rest could be better?
It's definitely tough because you don't want to over predict here and say, well, I expect 𝗬𝗧 to swap in because 𝗬𝗧 is going to eat my 𝗶𝗴 incredibly well, and then he's going to have Crystal Bite. So that makes sense. But then you swap in, let's say, 2-wire in order to counter that, and you end up with just the Tataru instead. You may be throwing away your digital Tem that you need later a little bit too early. So it is a big read that needs to happen for Lelouch. 𝗬𝗧 swaps in for the Boozled Valier instead, as Anatan comes in for that ruler. One big Tem for another, but this time it's a little bit more sparkly. Purgation on the 𝗬𝗧 is terrifying. This is the heat up of old, and Purgation onto 𝗬𝗵𝗵 as well.
Unbelievable. We're seeing the impact of these balance changes so thoroughly. This entire matchup, Purgation is running rampant, huh? Semifinals full of so many increases on these physical activities. So now instead of going on the Anatan like we predicted, it went for the Garunder. Interesting enough, perhaps he feels like he doesn't need it on the Anatan. Or maybe he feels like if he gets those on the buffed up Temtem in terms of defense, special defense, perhaps is a bit more valuable in the long run, right?
Yeah, I think Garunder, if he's able to kill a Volorend in one hit later, that could be massive. But the 2-wire, changing it up, neutralizing everybody, attacking 𝗬𝗧 with the 𝗶𝗴 for 46%, protecting himself from this Crystal Bite as now it's neutral. The Toxic Plume is unfortunate for 2-wire, but not terrible for 𝗬𝗵𝗵, as it can always give that attack back to itself. And 2-wire this turn threatens out 𝗬𝗬𝗧 quite a lot. It does have that Faraday Cage, or dare I say turbo attack, on a no longer neutralized 𝗬𝗬𝗧 thanks to that bait proc.
That is right, and that's going to be, as we all know, digital is neutral into virtually everything, so even a swap out is going to be taking quite the HP chunk out of that Temtem. So perhaps a rough position Lulu's putting Rishi in, but he's going to be bringing in the Grandpa, trying to get things set up on that bird ASAP. A bit risky with Garunder still around, but as you mentioned, Rawrzyyy, the Faraday Cage will be connecting onto the Grandpa, not doing too much, but those 2 additional toxic ticks will add up to an increase of 25%. And another one. Down he went from the Plume, but up he goes from another Purgation.
We see Matcha on the Volorend as he rests and regains all of that stamina right back where it was. I'm a little bit worried for 𝗬𝗵𝗵 now. I know it's probably thick skin, right? We haven't seen it get attacked by a wind move yet, but these are 2 very strong birds in front of it. This is scary. This is scary. This could be a lot of potential damage on 𝗬𝗵𝗵. Or,
yeah, very true.
I mean, maybe just the turbo? I don't know if he wants to risk that much damage on Grandpa.
Yeah, because I actually don't remember if Paizo's online, but I would imagine that the Grandpa is at least fast enough to perhaps just go for a simple Hypnosis, perhaps. And here we go, the Hypnosis trying to neglect. Oh, but it goes on the 2-wire, so 𝗬𝗵𝗵 not really minding that whatsoever. The wastewater going to be thrown at the good old Tataru, just doing a lot of damage towards his name. But I think you said turbo last turn. I am smelling a turbo this turn, especially from this good old Tataru. And now that the Garunder most likely having a rest, or else he's going to be damaging himself quite handily, right? That's a big overexertion. I dare say, are we seeing a double turbo choreography from the side of Rishi?
It could be. There is still a little bit of an issue there with the isolation from Faraday Cage,
okay.
So it's not going to have the synergy effect on Tataru's. It would still be a good speed buff for Grandpa, though, potentially enough to kill something in the future. I'm in agreement with something Malzen just mentioned in chat. Lelouch clicked Wastewater onto a Volorend.
I see.
He could have clicked that onto Grandpa, confirmed that kill. There was so much faith that 𝗬𝗺 was leaving that he clicked Wastewater onto a 𝗬𝗺. That's incredible.
Yeah, a little bit reminiscence of when he did, I believe it was a Crystal Bite into a Rotor, right? He went Crystal Bite to a Rotor. He just really believed that it was swapping out, but sometimes it's a bit of an overread, and sometimes it works out fantastically, like in this turn. But the turbo choreography buffing up by +2, nice little 50%, but instead of the secondary turbo, it will be the big major slash, the Rotor down to 38, and the Paizo electric blow. Where? Ooh.
That's a big OX. To kill the Tataru is a nice accomplishment, but man, Paizo not throwing out on a bird. Big OX on 𝗬𝗵𝗶's gonna have to leave now.
And yeah, I guess he just felt that the Tataru was the only thing holding the Anakin back. Those stone balls are, I don't even think Tataru is running stone balls on Rishi's team. But you definitely saw how big he prioritized it, right? He could have easily done a Paizo electric blow on the Grandpa, but he just doesn't feel that threatened by it. Perhaps it's the thick skin. Perhaps it's just the 2-wire as well, eating wind attacks well. It just doesn't seem like he minds it all that much, despite that speed advantage it has, right?
I think that I would be respecting it a little bit more, but maybe it's just the trauma of seeing what Rishi's done in the past. We do have a cage, though, so no swapping out. Garundar stays and takes it like a man. Stare once more onto 𝗬𝗺. Now it's -4. Taking a helicopter kick is definitely the end of times. But I think that this is good, because now Rishi is trapped in, forced to stay and play ball. And Lelouch can bring in whoever he pleases. This is pretty much a free kill on something if he does it right.
And it looks like that option will be that beautiful, beautiful Anakin. Like we said, we do not see this every day. Everything seems to be online for him. Or actually, it just came in for the first time, right? So perhaps not things like that Mineral Hail and Meteor Swarm, perhaps, if he is indeed running it. But those chain hits, the chain links, I mean, looking straight at that 𝗬𝗪𝗧. Where does he want to throw it at? Or no, I do think 𝗬𝗪𝗧 is better, right? Because a hook kick is still massive damage on the Anakin, of course.
Yeah, if this is hook kick double up, it could be a lot of damage onto Anakin. Allowing Garundar to survive may be scary as well, though, depending on its speed or the Paizo next turn. Grandpa is +2, so that's not the scariest thing in the world, but at the same time, +2 is not what it used to be. That's not as big of a buff as we're used to. And Lelouch deciding to swap out into a Tem that still probably dies to the Stare hook kick. 𝗬𝗪𝗻.
Oh, wait a second. Was that a Oh, never mind. The hook kick, even with that heavy armor, obliterating it. The Wastewater not looking too good. Of course, that is a crystal typing in the 𝗬𝗪𝗻, only doing 1 toxic tick. And that Grandpa, we said it, he could have taken it down forever ago, but look how much it's doing for the side of Mr. Rishi. And of course, you pair that up with the 𝗬𝗪𝗻, he is looking really, really good for this matchup. 4 Temtems remaining compared to virtually just 2 Temtems remaining on Lulu's side. Oh, things are not looking too hot for Lulu. 𝗬𝗺 is still at +2 special defense. I'm not too sure if that's going to be coming into play, but this Anakin has to do so much heavy lifting.
We did get the comment that that was meant to be 2-wire, not 𝗬𝗪𝗻.
I see. So
still would have been a lot of damage, but probably would have survived that with the Stare hook kick onto 2-wire, and then potentially with that common factor, that Wastewater would have been able to kill 𝗬𝗪𝗻, and we would have been in a very different position. But because of either a misclick or whatever it was, we do see Rishi taking game 1.
Already started with game number 2.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely wasn't over for Lelouch. If things had gone the way that he had planned for them to, I think that he might have still stood a chance of winning. The Tataru was dead, so Stoneball was out. After Hook Kick was taken care of, the only damage that was going to be terrifying on the Anitan would be if Grandpa got another turbo in HKS. But even Grandpa was down at half HP and could have been killed relatively soon if 𝗬𝗚𝗃 was no longer the threat. So it's definitely not down and out. Lelouch put up a good fight, and he could definitely be taking it this time. And with a 𝗵𝗁 lead, it's all possible.
Oh, I love it. We do not see a 𝗵𝗁 all the time, and it's looking pretty good against the 𝗬𝗏, I might add, of course. So we'll see. With that same thought in mind, the 𝗬𝗏 looking pretty good against itself as well. So nice even trades all around, right? 𝗬𝗵𝗆 for the mental, the nature for the earth, all around good trades. So we'll see. This is gonna be an interesting turn one, to say the least. It looks like the Garunder, I respect this very much from Mr. Rishi. The Garunder was looking really impactful all over the place last game. So I do think it was a right ban to ban that. And, you know, the same can be said about that 𝗬𝗚𝗃, right? The 𝗬𝗚𝗃 paired up with those stairs from the Grandpa. I think it killed more than one Temtem in the previous game. So we're already going to have a slightly different game here in our game number 2 of our semis. But let's see how these guys want to round it out. I am impressed. You know, perhaps Mr. Rishi playing Anitan in the past gives him a lot of insight of the capabilities that Lulu has in mind with his own Anitan, right? That could be coming into play here.
Yeah, for the most part, Anitan does seem like it's a pretty straightforward Tem. You get your Crystal Bite, you've got your Chain Hit, you've got your Heat Up, and you're really, really bulky. So there's not too much creativity to come in there. It really is more about eating a lot of neutral resisted hits for as long as possible, and just dealing out massive hits over and over and over again with Chain Hit and that really low stamina cost. So it's good on Rishi to have multiple Earth Tems as well as multiple Wind Tems, so we can get that synergy for turbo choreography and really deal a lot of damage very quickly on the Anitan if that threat finds its way onto the field early.
Yeah, we'll see if that does go down. I believe the 𝗬𝗏𝗃... Oh, it's actually with the 2-rock swapping out as early as turn 1. It's going to be the Volderen, just in case those... It's Plague, right? I believe it's a Plague, but the 𝗵𝗶𝗆 trying to protect the Volderen this time around. That is a bold stay-in, but he keeps it really straightforward, over 50%. Oh, and it was a simple uppercut onto that spot. So not too shabby, but this 𝗬𝗏𝗃 not feeling too good. One more CPG and it will be going down. I thought it was actually going to be swapping, but perhaps Rishi thought Lulu would do a bit of an overread and just double that right hand spot in case it did swap out, right? So we'll see.
Well, I think also everybody's expecting, like you said, the Plague out of 𝗵𝗁𝗃, but we got an uppercut instead because this is physical 𝗵𝗁𝗃. I don't know what moves he has beyond uppercut and front whip. I think that those are the only 2 physical attacking moves 𝗵𝗁𝗃 gets. So I really don't know what this set could be. This is the 𝗵𝗁𝗃 is where I think there's some really good creativity from the Luch and a lot of secrets that we're not going to be able to predict until it's here.
Absolutely, and we'll keep our eyes peeled for those secret techniques. I mean, already catching us off guard a bit with that uppercut. We were almost certain to see the Plague, but well done. I mean, having a physical... I don't think Mr. Rishi is working with that anaerobic Volderen like 𝗬𝗏 was, but just in those matchups, I can see why Lulu probably did a little bit better, that he didn't have to rely on those special techniques, of course. But I'm curious to see what he has in mind for this turn, because he doesn't really want to stay in with the 𝗬𝗏𝗃 unless we did see it outsped, right? It outsped with the 𝗵𝗶𝗆, but instead going for the simple stair onto the 𝗵𝗁𝗃 side. Oh, the drought, Rawrzyyy. What is going on?
I've never seen drought before, so that's exhaustion and seize. We kill the Valier with the CPG through the effective denial. Purgation onto itself for Volderen is a nice start, especially with the -2 on 𝗵𝗁𝗃. I'm curious if 𝗵𝗁𝗃 is camouflage, and I mean, either way, it's camouflage or Mithridatism, right? So either way, he's going to be resisting Volderen quite well for a little bit.
Yeah, which probably makes sense why Mr. Rishi wants to go ahead and start increasing those attacks as soon as he can. So nice little purgation there. And we'll see. I don't think he dares do it one more time. I feel like he has to try to get some damage across. But I think Lulu is putting Rishi in a tough spot. I mean, just taking down the first Temtem as early as turn 2 is always quite an impact in the overall presence, or the overall game, I'm saying. But nice little Tataru making his way. You know, Lulu has the Initin, Rishi has his good old Tataru. I don't know. We'll see. This turn is kind of interesting considering the fact that 𝗵𝗵𝗶 is virtually all the way overexerted. So perhaps he's looking at that back line. Maybe something along the lines of the 2-wire doesn't feel terrible. Maybe making sure something like a Frond Whip does neutral damage to the Voliran. We'll see.
Yeah, potentially. I think that could be good damage. Getting Voliran low now would be nice. I wonder though if Lelouch is better off just swapping in 𝗧𝗵𝗺 and sacrificing it.
Okay.
It does go for 2-wire.
Oh, and he does.
I think that 𝗧𝗵𝗺 doesn't provide enough anymore this game. There's 3 birds. There's only 1 Tataru. Oh. And Anitan swaps into a potential Stoneball Tataru user without that nullification. Extra energy, slam, and Feather Gatling first onto the 2-wire, down to 29% on entry, is pretty terrifying to begin with. I don't think that this 2-wire was all that speedy in game 1, right?
I don't think so.
Potential to be outsped this turn and killed. This is a really good board state for Rishi, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, if he does indeed have something like a Stone Ball, that is looking devastating for Lulu. But I believe Lulu did a little bit of his scouting, right? He may or may not know that Rishi doesn't tend to run a Stone Ball on that Tataru. But this tournament could be a different type of tournament for Rishi, of course. So we do have to wait and find out. But for now, what does he have in mind? Because Anitan was swapped in for a reason, has full HP, full stamina. The 2-wire does get swapped out. Doesn't want to waste that common factor trait just yet. Instead brings in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 to try to eat some damage. And that mom's lunch, of course. So who overexerting today? That Voliran might just be overexerting. Let's go ahead and see. Oh, it is a camouflage, Rawrzyyy.
Yeah, and Purgation onto Tataru is quite terrifying. Heat Up onto Anitan is also quite terrifying. I think Tataru might be scarier though, because we're talking chain hit versus major slash and held anger. I think Tataru wins the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. On that same thought though, Tataru is running rather low on stamina, right? So held anger will be online this turn, which is only 14 stamina. So a held anger could be coming out right here, right now. And as you said, that is 50% increase on that held anger. So I don't think anything really wants to eat that. I wouldn't be surprised if he just throws it at the Anitan. But the chain hits will be coming through. How much does it do? Wow. 49% on the Voliran and traps it in for the follow-up turn.
Bark Shield is really nice though, knowing that there wasn't going to be any attack coming from the Tataru. And with Vola just getting that matcha proc as well, that means incredibly free damage for Lelouch and incredibly free buffs. Broccolem did take the stare earlier, so it was -2 defense. That was always going to be a little bit scary facing the Voliran. Now we know it is the camouflage, so it's going to be taking the full brunt of those Nox bombs. +2, potentially +4 Nox bombs. If Broccolem was -2, it was potentially just going to die outright and not even see that camouflage save.
Yeah, let's see. So, oh, just in case that noxious bomb was indeed coming this way, swaps in his own toxic Temtem in that 𝗧𝗵𝗺, and man, that is a shiny board, but well read, catching that noxious bomb beautifully well. Now the question is, what does this Tataru want to do? And goes for the simple turbo choreography. I was about to say, this Voliran it doesn't have any speed just yet, but the Crystal Bite might make that all for nothing, except for the good old Tataru course. But I know the Voliran wanted to get off one more attack onto that Toxic of the 𝗧𝗏𝗺, right? So that's a huge Crystal Bite. Well done for Lulu.
Yeah, Lelouch just like taking lives away. Valier wasn't able to get enough value, as it did just bamboozle and stare, and didn't really accomplish what it wanted to. And now Voliran, it was on the board for a while, but it wasn't able to kill the 𝗵𝗶. It wasn't able to fight back the way that it had intended. So now Tataru swaps out, assumingly just because of low stamina, wants to get turbo choreography up again. And Amethyst, Anatan's not staying in front of a stone ball. We will see the 𝗵𝗶 come back out again. Mom's lunch once more, so that stone ball is going to cost so much. Although Soil Steam hitting the special defense instead, which is a little bit lower on 𝗵𝗶, I believe. So good call there. A stare onto 𝗬𝗏 with a frond whip or uppercut incoming is going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that early uppercut. So now that's a 50% reduction. I dare say we're looking at like 50-60% damage on this 𝗬𝗏. And unless this 𝗬𝗏 has something like a noxious bomb of his own, that kind of damage can't be reciprocated, but perhaps it can with this hyperkinetic strike, almost taking it down. The Turbine 3 priority, making sure the 𝗃𝗀𝗻 has nothing to do with that uppercut. Well played for Mr. Rishi. The question is, what does this acid reflux get to manage to do this round? How much damage? Not too much, I'm assuming. It looks like not overall, but the little toxic tigs will be eventually chipping down here and there.
Yeah, if Platt has taught us anything throughout his countless wins, it's the toxic ticks over time do win the game. Especially when you're hitting both spots, getting both of these Tems on Rishi's board ticking away. This is kind of scary though. Anatan comes back in. It's got to just be a bait, right? There's no way Anatan stays.
Yeah, that's why I'm so confused. But look at the mind games, Rawrzyyy. Wait. A 𝗬𝗏 swapping out in front of an Anatan. Don't tell me the Anatan is staying in, because then we're playing the complete. These guys are Giga Brain, right? They're thinking on a different wavelength. Okay, that was the game plan. I see. Okay, so common factor. That way, Anatan was always safe. So I completely see where Lulu's head was at there. The Meteor Hero will be quite impactful. Will Grandpa find himself on death's door, right? 15% remaining. But we've always posed the question, what does the Tataru have? I don't think it had that stone ball. Even though it doesn't really matter with the nullification all around, we did not yet to see the held anger course, so that could be coming its way as well. But man, these guys are having such an amazing game. So close, but so far I'm giving a slight upper hand in Lulu just in terms of HP advantage, and he has a bit more of the setup going with that +3 defense Anatan and +3 attack Anatan. And now that makes a lot of sense. One of the biggest weaknesses to Anatan in the past was that 4x weakness to Earth, so running that alongside a common factor 2y is quite brilliant, I will say. So well played for Lulu so far.
Yeah, a few more swaps coming through. 𝗧𝗏𝗺 making it a sparkly board once again as 𝗬𝗏 finds his way back on for Grandpa. Major slash onto 𝗧𝗏𝗺, not going to kill today. Chains hit onto 𝗬𝗏, not going to kill today. But it does get that trap in place. That means potentially 𝗧𝗏𝗺 can get some poison going once again. I think that might be asking too much though, as it is probably being targeted this turn, potentially by both of Rishi's Tems. As once again, there's no reason for Anatan to stay on the board against a 𝗬𝗏. And there are some pretty decent swaps in here with 𝗬𝗏 so low on HP, -2 defense. Bring in your Gymburger. We did see it doesn't have Sharp Leaf, most likely. Instead running that Rage, which was incredible to see. So it would need the Frond Whip, but it is still outspeeding. If 𝗬𝗏 does get a Toxic Tick this turn, a CPG might be enough to kill.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to find out here. Man, Lulu's utilizing that common factor to perfection, right? Making sure Anatan just has nothing to do with that 4x weakness. So Turbine coming through. Is it enough with the neutral damage? And it will. But, you know, Tataru was going to be doing neutral damage regardless. And wait a second, choosing to overexert with the neutral damage, making sure the final big threat to Anatan has been removed. And it only cost him about 7 HP, so I do think that's a mini success in its own regard. So with that being done from Lulu, it is looking good. I think he's poised to win this game number 2 of our semifinals, unless I say that, but no, with 2 tenses remaining. Oh, but you know, Anatan is running low on stamina, but there is a whole Shimburger in the back line. which can do a whole lot of damage. So if you deal with the grandpa, you don't have to worry about any hypnosis, and little by little that 𝗬𝗺 will be losing stamina. And when it comes down to a 3v or a 2v1 situation, it always tends to favor that 2v1, unless your name is Yowler of the old meta, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could have been looking at something different if the 𝗬𝗺's turbo earlier was on Grandpa instead of on Vola. Because now with another turbo, I mean, 𝗬𝗺 is just speeding, but Grandpa's only at +2. He doesn't really have the HKS power that he needs to fight back against Anatan.
Oh, you're so right. At +2, at least he has plenty of stamina to deploy the HKS. But now 𝗬𝗺 is at +5. So wait a minute. HKS followed up by a major slash? Or even a held anger. I don't believe we've seen the held anger from 𝗬𝗺 just yet, correct? So is there a world where Mr. Rishi's closing it out and instead goes for the honor here just because of those increases in attack he holds?
Yeah, I mean, Honor here had to die, and it's just not going to. It's so bulky. If Grandpa was +5, I think it could happen, but at +2...
Yeah, and that will be GG. Lulu ending things off with that impressive double kill, and this is exactly what we mentioned at the top of the tape for game 2. We said Lulu is one to make great adjustments, to recognize where he kind of made a small hiccups here and there, and this is the results of that adjustments. Congratulations, Lulu, going into a game 3 situation.
It's crazy to think of just how far some of these players have come, right? I mean, Lelouch used to be plus pack, and then 𝗂𝗀𝗇 gaming. I remember, casting him all the way through 𝗂𝗫𝗄 League as he was learning and growing with his club and figuring out his teams and his style. And now PDX, he's a Goliath. He's one of their better players. He's one of the better players in the scene as a whole. And I mean, nobody would be surprised today if he takes this entire thing.
Absolutely. I think one thing I could say what both of these players have without a doubt is true passion for this game, right? They really love this game and they understand it at a quite different level than most tamers, right? Because a lot of people play the game of Temtem, but these guys, quote unquote, have legit mastered the game of Temtem, right? Rishi has what, 5,000 wins under his belt. I would assume Lulu not too far behind that after how much games he puts in. So these are the results of the craftsmanship of just putting in the effort, right? Putting in the work. And these are here today, semi-finalists, potentially going all the way into the finals. So it is beautiful to see. And oh, Rawrzyyy, what is not beautiful to see is the Anatan getting banned. So no beautiful Luma here today. But perhaps he's still okay. We're going to be finding out.
Yeah, I mean, based on how that went, I don't know if no Anatan is going to be a problem or not for Lelouch. I think he still is Ruler, which is just as terrifying, if not even a little bit more so, especially with thick skin against some of these birds. But then at the same time, like, Anatan took so much pressure the last time, and Rishi has... Is this an identical team? I think it's an identical team to game 2, where it was kind of built to stop the Anatan and still wasn't quite able to. But now without the Anatan, everything feels a little bit more randomized almost. And like we're back into a 1 versus 1 scenario where, this Tem has to fight this other one. And, if 2-wire can be the one that kills 𝗬𝗺, then everyone feels a little bit happier about it.
Definitely. I think the big thing that made Anatan so special in that previous game was just the self buffs, right? No other Temtem on the squad, with the exception of Shamurian. We did see the rage in the previous games, but no other Temtem besides that one had anything like a show off, heat up, the rage as we saw. So yeah, Anatan with that self heat up, nice little 75% increase, made such a difference paired on with the 2-wire, as we keep saying. But here we go, guys. Stayer will be applied on that 𝗧𝗵𝗇, followed up by the energy slam. Not doing too much, but let's see. I think, okay, these guys are taking a page from each other. Stayer back and forth.
I think that the Faraday cage is a little bit scarier just because of the toxic ticks, right? Yeah, there is also the factor of isolation, so for the next couple of turns, there won't be a good turbo choreography for this Grandpa. Down at 42% with a toxic tick left to go. It'll have 30% at -2. This might be the true nullification of Grandpa. Before game 1, we were talking about how it always gets value, it always gets a kill, it's always so scary. But it's just getting bullied.
Yeah, and usually it is doing the bullying, right? So yeah, this is impressive. This is maybe just Lulu trying to really, I wouldn't say counter, but he has played Mr. Rishi time and time again. So perhaps this is it, but the major slash punishing the 𝗶𝗀𝗺 on the entry. 𝗬𝗵𝗆 going to be keeping evasive for the next turn, but this turbo attack, I dare say, will be all she wrote for the Grandpa, and that is a massive, massive kill as early as turn 1. Grandpa has been one of the most impactful Temtems for Rishi as of late. I mean, almost in every single tournament, Grandpa has put in the work. So nice to see, or nice for Lulu to see that Grandpa eliminated nice and early. And now the 𝗬𝗺 kind of low on stamina nice and early as well. So this is impressive so far.
Yeah, I mean, the dead Grandpa, it kind of removes the value of turbo on this 𝗬𝗺 as well. That's one of those move slots that could now have gone towards something else, as yeah, sure, a turbo on Vola or Turok could benefit at some point. I think, mostly just against the 𝗧𝗏 that knocks at already -2. Probably doesn't have much left to go this game against the birds. I think that is a bit unfortunate for Rishi now, because that turbo is the archetype of his team. There's definitely some other niches in there and some specialties, but that turbo was primary. He has so many birds so that he can turbo, and now there's no more HKS.
Absolutely, and we've seen HKS do so much damage time and time again. So absolutely, but here we go, 𝗶𝗏𝗺 keeping that Turok safe from potentially an uppercut. So well read for Mr. Rishi. Nothing done across the board for Lulu. But does bring in the 𝗬𝗵𝗆 to try to stare down that 𝗏𝗏𝗺. We did see it did over 50% the first time. And there's no such thing as crits or misses, so it will be doing 50% one more time. Or I guess with the little marbles from that 2-wire. Either way, it's a 2-turn clock for that 𝗏𝗏𝗺 standing there. So potentially looking at swapping out. But looking at the remaining team for Mr. Rishi, this 𝗬𝗵𝗆 poses a major threat overall, right? If a 𝗓𝗏 is available to him, the Turok doesn't want to be in. And then CPG into every single Temtem is just going to be obliterating them. Potentially a 2-turn clock for each and every one of them. So this is a dangerous, dangerous turn. I'm wondering how Rishi wants to try to maneuver his way around, and this is a good step forward, right? The hypnosis to try to give himself a bit of a breathing room, if you will.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to see Hypno or just another Boozle, but the Hypno, I don't know, with 𝗏𝗏𝗺 surviving on... Oh, Drought, what is happening? Chimburger wakes back up again, so he'll be able to frond whip.
Unbelievable.
𝗏𝗏𝗺 with that evasion means that he can uppercut, potentially breaking a Boozle or killing the Turok if 𝗬𝗏𝗆 breaks a Boozle. This just got so weird. 𝗏𝗏𝗺 doesn't have the value anymore. This turn, it just turned, it went from such a major player of completely blocking Lelouch's side to worthless on this field.
Yeah, I think one thing that's tripping up Mr. Rishi is who in their right mind runs Drought. Lulu does, and that is throwing him off. He couldn't play around it. Most players don't even, including myself by the way, don't really know what Drought does. So adding 2 status conditions, removing that sleep off of the 𝗬𝗵𝗆 and frond whip being that one priority play, incredible. Lulu is playing out of his mind right now, and Rawrzyyy, you did place that bet early on, is looking really, really good so far. 𝗬𝗵𝗆, where is he going? Catching the bamboozle, not going to be good enough. The soil steam, you have to do the damage where you can. It's not going to be too big at that, but you have to try, of course.
This 𝗬𝗵 with the heavy armor, and it's so bulky. I'm used to seeing 𝗬𝗵s that if you soil steam, it's doing 60%, if not a little bit more. This is incredible to see 18%, really 19.2.
Right?
Even less than, I just completely messed that up. Yeah, it was 17.2. It's like barely any damage at all. 𝗬𝗏𝗻 is so good to go.
And I believe we're saying here in chat, I believe the gravel bag was seized, so that special attack did not get the fruits of the attacking from the 𝗬𝗏, right? Which is why it explains why it did so little damage. But either way, everything is nullified here today. The Hypnosis is going to be hitting that 𝗧𝗏𝗺. The Soul Steam should be doing a bit more damage this time around.
Take 2. Although that is a big OX now for 𝗬𝗏, solo on HP. He pretty much, I mean, you stay and you die, or you leave and die later. If you leave, you might be able to do something. I don't know. 𝗬𝗺 doesn't take the most damage in the world if it swaps in, and having that sacrificial 𝗬𝗏 in the future might be beneficial. But this is a losing battle for Rishi right now, at least in terms of HP, as that is 1 dead Tem and 1 very, very low Tem versus all 5 still alive for Lelouch.
Yeah, exactly right. And of course, we keep saying digital is just going to be neutral into everything. So even if the 𝗬𝗺 swaps out now, these turbo, these 40 cages, but hey, swapping out that 𝗧𝗏𝗺 for the 𝗬𝗏𝗺 and the Feather Gatling, just making sure the 𝗬𝗏 has no other turn following this guy, or following this turn, of course. So nice little simple FG. But with the 𝗬𝗺𝗺 in, now everything goes back online, making sure, making sure it could dish out some pain in case the 𝗬𝗺 wants to come through. But I don't think so. I think it's gonna have to rely on the good old 𝗬𝗺. But 4 Temtems remaining for the side of Lulu. This is looking pretty bad for Rishi, I will add. But maybe perhaps not impossible. I don't want to count him out just yet, but it does look rather bad.
If 𝗬𝗵 doesn't overexert for his CPG this turn, which is potentially asking too much with only 37% HP, this could be really scary for Valier as it came in, because Valier could bamboozle, but it OXs, could hypno, and then one of these Tems can't attack. But 2-wire with a turbo attack that we've already seen, and 𝗬𝗏𝗻 with the CPG that will always be there, is a very dead Valier. If even one of those hits, the following turn it would be going down. So Bridget the 𝗬𝗺 swapping in instead, and 2-wire just targeting down the 𝗬𝗺, CPG as well targeting down the 𝗬𝗺 to 25% as purgation on the 𝗬𝗺. It might be a little bit too late looking at that very full HP ruler in the back.
I think so as well. It's just Lulu back-to-back incredible plays, knowing that the 𝗬𝗺 was potentially a big bait for the side of Rishi. Just good, keeping it straightforward and gunning out the 𝗬𝗺 that was most likely to stay in. Went for the purgation, so didn't dish out any kind of damage onto Lulu's remaining team. And as we keep saying, going from a bit to bad to worse is what Rishi's finding himself going down. So much healthy Temtems, you know, not even in the middle orange HP on Lulu's side. As you said, the funky Howl Road are still key in the backline for perhaps the 𝗬𝗺. But either way, you still have things like the 2-wire currently on the board, and that CPG didn't overexert it. So this 𝗬𝗺𝗻, as they say, is built different, right? It is a tanky 𝗬𝗺𝗻, and it has a lot of stamina investment at that, so it probably doesn't even overexert all that much with another CPG, and there is nowhere to run. It's either going to be catching the 𝗬𝗺 or the 𝗬𝗺 on the entry. So I do think it's well worth the investment to just throw it over there and just overexert a tad little bit. But this has been a great game so far. Let's see how these players want to close things out.
2-wire retreating is a little bit surprising, I think. But maybe not, as Mom's Lunch is going to be really big value, exhausting both 𝗬𝗺 and 𝗬𝗺. Double swap, potentially sacrificing both of these Tems, knowing that Broccolem goes down to anything, and 𝗀𝗀𝗻 with the stare still -2 defense could definitely be going down to a +2 attack major slash from only 60%. Yeah, it's not looking that good for that poor 𝗀𝗀𝗻, but it does level out the Tems once more, 3 versus 3, with the HP advantage still going towards Lelouch, but definitely balance the scales for Rishi.
I think so as well. This is exactly a bit of momentum that Mr. Rishi needed, right? He needed this kind of double kill. Granted, the 𝗬𝗀𝗺 was relatively on death's door already, but making sure that Major/ confirmed that kill on the 𝗧𝗲𝗺 before anything like trance, before anything like first aid kick proc. So well done. You know, I think the show, the hope, the glimmer of hope does rely on this good old 𝗬𝗺. Can he get it done? You know, fair enough. The liar's still in the back as well. Maybe gets a little bit of damage on the rotor, of course, but with that reactive vial, perhaps not just too much. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just like I said last turn. CPG staring 𝗬𝗺 straight in the face. Does he just want to go ahead and deploy it that way? It looks he has plenty stamina to do so if he wants to.
Yeah, I think that he's pretty safe just clicking that move. You either kill 𝗬𝗺 and hurt 𝗬𝗺, or kill the Valier on a swap. Held Anger is the most damage 𝗬𝗺 can be expected to dish out right now, and it does kill 2-wire. So that is pretty terrifying, actually. But the CPG still going, no, on the Bridget instead. Not going to be killing the 𝗬𝗺. Purgation on the 𝗬𝗺.
Second.
This is looking scary now. Funky how the ruler does have incredible defense, but is it enough considering now a Major/ probably kills 𝗵𝗵𝗶? And then it's up to Funky How's Stoneballs to fight against Valier.
Yeah, you know, I absolutely understand the decision going after the 𝗬𝗺, but perhaps you just had to take down the bird before another purgation, because now we're talking about a double damage Major/ heading your way. And I know it's a heavy armor, but I don't know too many 𝗵𝗺s that could take all that force coming in. But okay, saving it down the road. In comes the Valier. Drill impact on the 𝗬𝗺. Is it enough? It will be enough. So does the 𝗵𝗺 just select to rest, or does it want to overexert? It does indeed rest. So we are down to the wire, folks. Final 2 Temtems of our semifinals. Who is going to be taking it home? The 𝗵𝗺rian with a simple 1 attack increase, or potentially this Major slashing Luma 𝗬𝗺. Can he get it done? It depends. Do we feel he could one-shot a 𝗵𝗺rian or a potential double up? But the Hypno going to be going first on the rotor.
Yeah, Major/ outspeeding 𝗵 as well, but targeting ruler means that he just woke it right back up. CPG on the Valier brings down to 37%. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, it was soft touch.
Of course, of course.
So it does not wake it back up. Funky House stays asleep, takes all that damage for free, and is now in a terrifyingly low HP position. Now, even if 𝗵𝗺rian overexerts and kills this Valier next turn, which there's no guarantee it will thanks to Bamboozle, it's just gonna die to Bridget.
I think Mr. Rishi might have brought it back. He has extra energy slam to confirm the kill, and I don't believe he overexerted. That does mean there is a final held anger, and does that not get the kill? The first aid kick does proc. Unbelievable. A 2v1 situation. I was almost certain Lulu had it in the bag, but the stare followed up by the held anger most likely. This is what dreams are made of, Mr. Rishi. An incredible comeback. Truly an epic game. Oh my goodness. Congratulations, Mr. Rishi, coming from the depths of losing it, and does confirm the victory and locks his seat in the grand finals. GG. Man, what an epic matchup, right, Rawrzyyy? Unbelievable.